Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I am your host, Michelle Gibbs, and I am passionate about helping scholarly mamas like you navigate your journeys with purpose so you can achieve your life and academic goals without sacrificing what matters. The reality is that scholarly mama life is multidimensional. We're scholars, yes, but we're also mothers, wives, and so much more with whole lives outside of academia. So how do we successfully navigate all this? Well, first, we need the space to embrace this unique blend. Only then can we begin the important work of becoming purposefully whole. And part of my own purposeful work is to create a space for us as scholarly mamas to grow, to reflect, and to become everything that we were meant to be. So, mama, are you in? Fabulous. Let's begin. These are our journeys of becoming. Hey mamas, welcome back to another episode of the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. In today's episode, I want to reflect and take us back to 2022 actually, when I came up with 2 words which were my focus words for that year. And at the time, those 2 words were growth and transition. And it's so funny how those 2 words are still so relevant today, and perhaps they will resonate with you as well, especially if you are currently navigating a season of change in your scholarly mama journey right now. So in this episode, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what these 2 words meant for me and why I chose them back then. So let's dive right in. So, growth and transition. What are we talking about here? So I know what you're probably thinking, that perhaps where you are in the world, it may be a terrible time for gardening, because these 2 words, growth and transition, came to me through inspiration from my garden. I love gardening, for those of you who know me. I love pruning my plants and just kind of shaking things up every spring and just getting the garden ready, planting a few foods and little things for the boys to sort of experiment with. And I'm not a huge fan of having plants in pots. I much prefer to have them in the ground. But anyway, I digress. So it may be too hot where you are, or it may even be too cold where you are. But here in the UK, it's spring, and therefore it's a perfect time for getting out into the garden, which is one of my favorite places to spend my time. However, even if it's too hot or too cold, the plants continue to occupy their spaces, whether it be in a pot or in the ground, with patience and content until the conditions become ideal for growth. So likewise, as a garden lover, we too may be forced to patiently wait for the appointed time to give our plants some TLC. Speaking of garden TLC, and going back to my earlier point about the pots, have you ever noticed how plant pots become unfit for purpose after a while? Isn't it interesting how a plant pot seems to be the right fit in the early stages, when all that's required is a bit of water, sunshine, and air for that plant to thrive happily in its pot? These may seem like the glory days for any garden lover, until, of course, it's a season for growth. As it grows within that small pot, it eventually reaches a point where the growth begins to slow. Suddenly, that pot, which felt like the perfect match, doesn't seem to be a good fit anymore. The plant is no longer thriving. Instead, it begins to stagnate. What's the problem, you might ask? What's wrong with this plant? Is it my gardening skills? Is that the problem? The guilt begins to sink in. You think to yourself that maybe you're not cut out for this plant care thing. Maybe you don't have those green fingers. I mean, you can't even get a single plant to grow properly, right? This is the negative self-talk and it's not helpful. Maybe consider that the plant may require a transition in order to grow. Perhaps the time has come for that plant to shift a bit. A bigger and deeper pot perhaps, or new soil in the open ground. Maybe the roots need a bit of a shake-up so they can fulfill their purpose of absorbing water more efficiently. Perhaps the Earth's axis has shifted as spring and summer come in, changing the direction of the light source. Maybe the leaves need to point in a new direction in order to reach the light to grow and flourish. The plant wants to grow and thrive to its full potential, but it can't do so in that small pot because the small pot is no longer fit for purpose. The plant requires a transition to thrive. When the seasons change, so do the needs of the plant. But the plant knows this and adapts. Nature has taught the plant when to dig deep roots and when to shift focus in preparation for growth. But nature's secret is knowing the difference. So when is it time for growth and transition? When it's time for growth and transition, you will know. You know, I remember reading a blog post some time ago, and the person was saying on that blog post that if you're not growing, then you're dying, essentially. Growth is an act of self-preservation. And so I interpret that as I need to always prioritize my personal growth and development. I need to continue to challenge myself. I need to continue to dream and think big. I need to continue to do the things that help me to feel that I am achieving my own version of success. And in doing so, I'm growing. In doing that, in becoming all that I can be, I am growing. And I think that as scholarly mamas, we deserve to grow. We deserve to become everything that we can be. We deserve to be better than we were yesterday. And the only way we can do that is by prioritizing our personal growth. And I hope that as you listen to this podcast episode, you think about the areas of your life in which you feel the need to expand, you feel the need to refine, to develop. Because remember, as I read in that blog post, if you are not growing, you're dying. So, Mama, on that note, I challenge you to imagine that you and I are the plants in this metaphor. Sometimes we need new pots in order to grow. Sometimes we have to challenge ourselves in new ways to realize our worth, learn what we're truly capable of or good at, and have greater impact in this world. The pandemic taught us how to challenge ourselves to grow in new spheres. And for me, this next season of my life will be about making some necessary changes in order to grow further in the direction of my purpose. The seeds of doubt and fear won't be holding me back from my journeys of becoming all that I am meant to be. There is no longer space in my garden for negative self-talk and limiting beliefs to take root. I want to step even further out of my comfort zone moving forward. So bring on the new pots. What's holding you back, Mama? If you have big dreams for this season of your life, but are reluctant to believe those dreams can become a reality for you because of your circumstances, I am here to encourage you. I challenge you to ask yourself, what's holding me back from starting my next journey of becoming? It's possible to become more intentional about what you want and exactly how you're going to go about making it happen. And not some airy-fairy daydream that will last all of 5 minutes. I'm talking about taking bold, intentional steps towards your purpose. Maybe you're just about keeping your head above the water at the minute, caught between a rock and a hard place and feeling tugged by all of your priorities all at once. Or perhaps you are just making ends meet in certain areas of your life and you know that in those areas you need to do more. Maybe you're juggling several balls at once, desperately trying not to drop and break any of them. Until whatever circumstances you find yourself in, I challenge you, Mama, to go beyond just blooming where you're planted and consider transitioning to where you can really grow and thrive. Because becoming purposefully whole is still the goal. So don't worry about having to make big boss moves. Baby steps will take you there as well. A daily commitment to small increments of equally powerful internal work towards becoming the best version of yourself is enough. Taking on mindset shifts and adopting new perspectives is indeed a bold first step. Then writing these goals down will help you to give them some life and longevity so that even when the novelty of these new ideas has worn off, you remain focused on what you're working towards. Only you know where you need to be. Only you know what makes your heart sing. In keeping with the inspiration from the garden theme, remember that the ideal blend of air, light, and water necessary for you to grow and thrive is different for everyone. Perhaps it's time you learn a new skill or follow a long-time passion of yours. Maybe you want to tap into your creativity. I became a children's book author to help me do this. If you want to check out my children's book series, you can do so at doodledozen.com. Maybe you want to make more time in the day for self-care and gratitude. Perhaps pursuing a purposeful PhD Mama life is on the cards for you. Maybe you just want to make more time for your spouse and your family to actually be present and cherish the simple moments with them without the stress and guilt. Perhaps you want to create your own little corner of the internet and share your story to help others so that you can have a greater impact in the world. Maybe it's being more intentional about your time and reducing the overwhelm by becoming more organized and simplifying your to-do list. The Mrs. Mummy PhD Planner, which you can find on our resources page, can help you make a start with that. But remember that becoming purposefully whole is still the goal. And with that in mind, I believe that you can find your way to a place of peace, joy, and fulfillment no matter your starting point. Now, Mama, it's over to you. What does becoming purposefully whole look like for you? What growth and transition would you like to work towards so that you can become purposefully whole? Can you take some intentional steps now to help you make a start with that? One first step might be finding out what your purposeful scholarly mama trait might be. Take our 3 to 5 minute quiz to find out how you can get started in making some tiny changes that might actually have a huge positive impact on your life. Changes that align with who you are on the inside. I hope you'll find it helpful in getting your new season, whatever that may look like, off to a new start. Okay, so that's the end of the episode. I really hope that you have gotten some value and insight out of it. I hope that it's triggered your reflections and just thinking about how you can create a more purposeful journey. Until next time, I'm sending you lots of love and gratitude as always. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mrs. Mummy PhD podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you did and you want in on this movement, why not head over to mrsmummyphd.com. You can join the waitlist for our exclusive community of smart, purposeful, scholarly mamas. We'd love to see you on the inside. Remember, Mama, these are our journeys of becoming.